Hi, Erin. So I wanted to do a video reply. I actually like doing the video replies, I think, to these video discussions instead of typing the responses. So it's kind of unique too. Okay, so what I want to say is, first of all, I won't turn you in for Napster if you don't turn me in. I think I was probably early college, maybe, when Napster was big. I can recall using it. So, yes, I get it. I do want to touch on the idea of intellectual property because you brought that up. You said you worked at OU and now you're working for the state regents and the software they create. As a university professor, um, even when I create things for my full time position or if I created something for any position I have as an academic, it will be intellectual property of the university. And I think that's very interesting. And the research that I do, if I write a journal article, publish a book, that is not going to fall under that intellectual property rights of the university. But when I was a graduate student at Auburn and I was getting my master's, I didn't do a thesis. I did an internship, and I worked for the Office of Research and Communication, vice president. And one of the things I had to do, my dog, stop. One, one of the things I had to do is interview different departments on campus about the research they were doing. And I remember interviewing someone in chemistry who had created, invented a polymer. And this person, of course, their idea became part of the university property. And so I just remember thinking, wow, that kind of stinks. But now that I'm a professor, and that was, 15 years ago, I'm thinking, yep, I get it. And so I also want to talk about the Pacifica case. I think you brought up some good points. You mentioned the 1970s versus today, and I do think that's interesting because, yes, we're a lot looser today, but you got to think about it too. The media itself has become more capable of desensitizing people. If you take into account, for example, British humor, by the way, which is a lot more risque than American humor, and it's funny because we run the BBC. I think a lot of times some people just don't get British humor, and therefore that's one of the reasons that I don't know, we don't really realize how much worse it is sometimes than American humor. It's very crass. But I do think that the more the media is willing to show and the more people are willing to access and want that instant gratification, the more we loosen those strings on what is indecent and what is obscene. Although it is very difficult to prove something obscene, and by the way, profanity is never obscenity. That are totally two different things. So George Carlin, when he did his the case, it's I personally find George Carlin funny, so I'm not saying it was appropriate that it ran at 3 o'clock and then the young man heard in his father's car George Carlin skit without warning. That probably was not good. I do like to scream what my kids watch too. So anyway, that's my response, and I welcome any additional thoughts you may have.